Hello, today I would like to talk about the causes of the spread of the infection in the United States with yin-yang 5 elements and heaven-earth zodiac signs. You will definitely be astonished when you see this video till last, because this video is not kind of those cheap videos you can find anywhere. I also know that what I'm doing has the power to turn the history of the world upside down, because I don't follow the times, but the time follow me. So my problem is if error can catch up with me or not. However, I know from the wisdom of our ancestors that the brave with great influence to change the world always go through this situation, which now I am in. But they have already been through it, so I have nothing to fear. They have proven to me that what I am doing is very right. So if you really have the courage to change the world, I think you can work with me. So I'm really excited and looking forward to it. I'll leave this message here because I know that this video will be something very special that will be passed on to future generations for hundreds and thousands of years. It will certainly change the way you look at the whole world, not only about America. And someday, like the visions I always see, it will be a discipline that many young people will want to study or even go to college to study. And once again, you will feel that it is more than a miracle that you have come across this video now. So let's get started. There are 4 main reasons for the extraordinary spread of infection in the United States. First, the United States is a nation of immigrants. Especially the fact that it is made up mainly of immigrants from Europe is a huge factor. As I have mentioned before, the impact of travel or moving is proportional to distance and time. If you travel a long distance, the impact will be considerably greater than a short distance. For example, if a person moves from London, England to San Francisco, California, it is more than 8,600 kilometers. If a person moves in the most auspicious direction with this distance, she will gain extraordinary wealth, which will be passed on from generation to generation. Especially Europe to America corresponds to the Northwest. Northwest is the energy of self-establishment, independence, and success. I think one of the reasons why there are so many extraordinary millionaires in the US is because the families that have traveled this great distance and established themselves with auspicious energy. However, some people migrated and settled in the United States with worse energy flow. In this case, they will experience extraordinary misfortune and their family will die out eventually. Regarding to health, these people have had health problems or illness for generations. Even if the person who moved to America dies, his heart descendants will still be affected by the directions the ancestors took once, and it will keep passing down to generations. This is well reflected in the causes of death in the United States because the Northwest governs the brain, heart, and lungs. Therefore, it would be possible to read that the family with weak hearts, families that die of pneumonia, and the families that become demented with Alzheimer's have been created through this migration process and have continued to be expressed until now through the progeny. If you want to break the karmic fate of your family, I suggest you subscribe to my channel and study it well. You can definitely do it. Unfortunately, bogus feng shui masters often say that putting something yellow in the west will bring you luck, or putting this at the entrance will bring you money. But those are bogus, so don't trust it. Life is not determined by what you put on your doorstep, but by how and when you act. It is the flow of your energy that creates your life. I think Prince Harry and Meghan are proof enough of that. What do you guys think? Anyway, if you are guided to move to the auspicious direction, good fortune will come to you even if you wear striped curtains in the West, and even if the dishes you use cost $1 and not fabulous. But it is a fact that there are colors and objects that a person can wear to better demonstrate their abilities and harmonize with their surroundings. So I'll talk about that another time, so please look forward to it. Okay, the next reason too. The United States is in a 20-year period of Tencyuusatsu. This is called Daiun-Tencuusatsu, the most declining economy period. If you don't watch part 1, you have no idea what I'm talking here part 2, so please watch part 1 first, okay? Before talk about the Tencyuusatsu, I would like to talk about where we are right now. I would like to lightly talk about the fact that there is a cycle called sangen in the flow of the times. the flow of time moved from jogen to chugen, and from chugen to kagen. This is called sangen. Jogen no jo means upper, chugen chu means middle, and kagen ka means bottom. This cycle is coming from this, though I don't mention in detail. Every 60 years, energy cycles through a transition from upper to middle, middle to bottom, and back to upper from bottom. The age of Jogen is a time when the darkness is gone and the new age is budding and the world is developing in a revolutionary way. The age of Chugen is a time when the flower of the Jogen is getting in full bloom and the people's desires have reached their peak and they bring turmoil. The age of Kagen is a time when the flowers that had been in full bloom are falling, the momentum of the world is waning, and the people are becoming more selfless and inactive as they pursue the spiritual world. In addition, natural disasters occur frequently, and the flow of nature begins to return to the earth. And then, in order to support a new era, it returns to nothingness. Now, here is the question. Where we are now, right now? The upper, middle, or lower? I'll give you 10 seconds. Now is Kagen. So Kagen age, the bottom era, as you can guess. In other words, we are in a time of extraordinarily large upheavals because we are in the midst of a major flow of transformation from Kagen, bottom, to Jogen, the upper. So it is obvious that no matter how many policies are adopted to promote the economy in this flow, they will not work. So that's why I told you in the video the other day that England really made the wrong decision. Though on that video I analyzed through some other way of perspective. But even from this Sangen perspective, I can clearly say that England made wrong choice. So in other words, what should we focus on right now? That's what universe asking to us. I'll leave the rest to the viewer's choice and judgment, because you chose to be born in this turbulent time, Kagen era. I thought that by sharing this background about the Sangen cycle, we could think more deeply about the cause too, the reason too in America. In America, the period between horse and sheep falls into the Tencyuusatsu period. If we look at the flow of Koten, the flow of luck that comes around later in life. In the US, the 20 years from 2007 to 2026 correspond exactly to the Tencyuusatsu period. Therefore, there will be no roof over America's head for these 20 years. These 20 years are known as Daiun-Tencyuusatsu. Daiun-Tencyuusatsu can be interpreted in two ways, as turning to yin or as turning to yang. These two patterns. In the case of the yin, it will be a period of 20 years during this which people will pursue the spiritual world and without any results from their pursuit of real profit. And if it turns to yang, it will be a period of making a lot of money without a roof. The characteristic of turning to yin is that there is a ruthless money-making period during the 5 years before entering this Daiun-Tencyuusatsu period. In other words, if it turns to yin phenomenon, it has to experience a materially positive change in the 5 years prior to this flow. And from there, it will be a flow that knocks down into the bottomless pit. And this will be the sign that the Daiun-Tencyuusatsu is turning to yin phenomenon. And it will last for 20 years. Turning to yang in Daiun-Tencyuusatsu period is just the exact opposite of this reaction. In the case of America, in the 5 years prior to this Daiun-Tencyuusatsu period, flow was the height of the housing bubble, and then in 2007, exactly on the year to enter the Daiun-Tencyuusatsu period, the bubble burst and the subprime mortgage crisis began. And on September 15, 2008, the American investment bank Lehman Brothers went bankrupt, with total liabilities of $600 billion, making it the largest corporate bankruptcy in American history. In other words, the 20 years of Tencyuusatsu in the United States emerged as a phenomenon that turned to yin. In human terms, the criteria for turning to the yin or yang during this Daiun-Tencyuusatsu period is whether or not the person have experienced a certain amount of hardship in his or her life before getting into this period. So this means that it is a compulsory instruction from heaven that insisting America should go through the proper hardships to build a truly decent country. because America have been transitioning through the ages without hardship and don't realize how American people are too blessed. Don't get me wrong, heaven has decided that, and I just convey it. I'm just reading the America's prophecy and telling the truth, okay? I also looked into the previous Daiun-Tencyuusatsu period in America. This table was made for the purpose of clearing my head, so it may be difficult for you to see, sorry. Previous Daiun-Tencyuusatsu was from 1887 to 1906. So this period also generated a phenomenon that turns to yin. Before this period, the Gilded Age is an era of gaining real profit. So the US tends to turn in Tencyuusatsu period. In other words, if you are American, you have to keep in mind that try to run the economy during this period, you will be shunned. So do not make large investment for the purpose of money during this period because the economy will not turn even if you try. You just end up in vain. And I think the reason why the last Daiun-Tencyuusatsu period was not as bad as this time is that the flow of time was upper, jogen. So Tencyuusatsu, the second half of the decades, the Republicans are back in power and the economy is recovering. I'll talk about the Republican and the Democratic Party later in the reason 3. Also, as you can see from this table, the 25 years before and after, the switch from top to middle, and from middle to bottom, and from bottom to upper will cause chaos and upheaval, which is why America had a situation like the Great Depression, the Panic of 1929. So unfortunately, I think it is better to interpret the next 50 years as an unstable situation. Instability is an interpretation of times that are difficult to profit from economically, but we cannot help it since we are born in this era by choice. Also, in the case of turning to yin, a flow of transformation would occur from the material world to the spiritual world. So during the period of Daiun-Tencyuusatsu with turning to yin, if person pursues the spiritual world, the energy flow will operate in a positive way, and that leads to an explosion of appreciation from outside. This is the reason why Mr. Al Gore was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2007, and the reason why Mr. Obama became president in 2009 and won the Nobel Peace Prize that year. Therefore, American people need to know that no matter how much you guys try to pursue economic activities and make profit in these 20 years, you will end up in vain. So the energy that pursues economic activities while explosively accelerating viral infections will be the exact opposite of this Daiun-Tencyuusatsu with yin phenomenon. So the trend will be eliminated from heaven. In other words, it suggests that it will be extra bad and will spin out of control. So now instead of focusing on turning the economy around, it means that the American people should switch to a policy that is more on the passive side, supporting people by providing more security for those who are living in poverty. Of course, balance is very important, but it's an undeniable fact that the investment made for your own benefit will end up in dissipation during this period all in all. The United States in particular this year 2022 will be the Tenkokuchichu with this year energy, Mizunoe Tiger. So as I mentioned in part 1, Tenkokuchichu is the energy that destroys and eliminates those who are in the wrong stream. So I think that this year the US will be in a state of complete death. After that, the trend will finally switch to a trend of getting out of Daiun-Tencyuusatsu. Therefore, the bottom will be in 2022 for America, which means still not bottom end from 2023 onward. So the flow will finally start to rise little by little. In other words, gradually recovering begins in the last 5 years at the end of this Daiun-Tencyuusatsu period because it lasts until 2027. But do not expect too much, okay? Because of the big energy stream Sangen. Another action you can take to make good use of this energy, that Tenkokuchichu, is to redecorate your room. In other words, the action is to replace the contents. You know what I mean? Having mentioned that on purpose, so let's go to reason 3. The third reason for the accelerated spread of the virus and the failure of the economy was the election of a Democratic administration and the election of Biden as president. First of all, if we look at the energy of the environment from the perspective of yin and 5 elements, as I said before, a year in which there is an increase in metal, earth, and water is basically a period of upheaval. In these years, the energies of metal, water, and earth are strong. So it can say that the earth is in the midst of a period of upheaval during this era on the basis of the big flow of Kagen. So energy was the bottom of the bottom. This year and the next year will be a year of water and wood energy. And after 2025, fire energy will finally arrive. So now is the time when our luck is gradually on the rise on the basis of Kagen. Please do not forget, this is important. The bottom flow is just like the transition from winter to spring. Of course, the impact of energy on the environment varies according to the characteristics of each country, which I explained so far. With that in mind, let's take a look at the prophecy for Democrats and Republicans. At a glance, we can see that the Democrats have a strong water and metal energy, while the Republicans have a strong wood and fire energy. In other words, for the US, a time when the Democrats are in control means upheaval. This can be proven by the timing of the Democrats' rise to power so far. In fact, I went back in time to find out when the government was going to be replaced, and I discovered an extraordinary fact. This is the discovery of the century that no one has known until now, and nobody recognizes this value. But I'm not going to give up. See, the timing of the change of government is always in the year of the rooster, ox, and snake. And this cycle is repeated until now for such a long time. Actually, when I talked about America on this video, I didn't know about this, the cycle of the change of government, because I didn't analyze so deep. But from other perspective, I recognize the kind of the America's tendency, so I mentioned a little bit about America. Please check later if you'd like. There are 12 animal zodiac signs, some of which are close and some of which are not. The ones that are close to each other stick together and create a strong force that creates wood, fire, metal, and water. This is what I talk about in the Chernobyl story in this video, and the Aspio strip in this video, and about Tom Cruise a little bit in this video, so please check them if you'd like. When the mouse, dragon, and the monkey gather together, they make water energy of 5 elements. When the boar, the rabbit, and the sheep gather together, they form a tree energy. When the tiger, horse, and dog get together, they make fire energy. And finally, when the rooster, the snake, and the ox together, they make metal energy. The US changes administrations at the timing of the ox, rooster, and snake, which clearly shows that the US itself is trying to create the energy of metal. These 3 zodiac signs are driven by the pursuit of the practical. They are not interested in spiritual matters such as fortune telling or religion, but rather in learning through actual actions to achieve results in the real world. And through that, they learn about the spiritual. Metal represents this part of the American prophecy, so we can clearly see that the American is aware of this part of the prophecy. That is, they are trying to create this energy. Okay? And I'll talk more about the rest of the story in cause 4, the reason 4. In this chapter 3rd, I have to talk about the nature of the Democratic Republican Party, so I'll turn the story back here. But please keep in mind this is very important. Based on the fact that the ox, rooster, and snake will change the government, furthermore, the point to be noted here is which government will start in the year of the ox. During this period of about 170 years, a total of 7 times the government has started in the ox year. It was all Democratic Party who started their government from the ox year, except for the Daiun-Tencyuusatsu period in 1889. This is really an outrageous fact. This is not something I should publish on YouTube, I feel. I don't know what the famous journals in these fields are called, but in the field of science, it's something that can be published in Cell or Nature. My problem is, no matter where I am, I feel this is not my place. I feel I don't belong here. So my life so far always one black sheep in white. So I really hope the people watch this is super decent, and I really wish God would guide me towards the right direction. By the way, do you know Michiokushi? Actually, I have a lot of respect, and I wish I could be like him. This is off topic, but when I started my business in Japan, not this one, a publisher contacted me and told me, hey, your business idea is a really great idea, so you should get a patent right now because it could be stolen. And I was very grateful to this person because similar stuff of my idea one after another after that. She was right. I didn't know anything about it and I didn't know my worth and value. So if she didn't let me know, I would be completely stuck. So if you are watching this, please let me know if you notice anything, including like, hey, you should stop talking on YouTube, but you should publish it here, or anything, fine. Because I don't know anything at all. So, yeah. But it's true that I feel strange huge gap between what I talk and the place I am. But at the same time, it's also true that I really enjoy making this kind of stuff. I don't know how to say, but I feel it's really suit me. I like to make it as perfect as possible to bring it to the point where I cannot do it anymore. The point is, I know that no one can imitate my expression once I get to this point. It may sound crazy, but I'm making this until my eyes bleeding. I think this concentration ability is amazing even for me. I think I would be short-lived. And my life depends on how to express in a distinctive and original way. This is my prophecy. And I want you to know because I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about America. Because now I'm making the way which leading to reason 4. And it's really important to know how this energy of mine think and feel. The fact that the Democrats tend to start their administrations in the year of the ox means that the existence of a Democratic Party is more likely to be void, V-O-I-D, void in the United States. In fact, starting in the year of the ox has caused chaos and upheaval. I'm not going to explain them all, but if your specialty is American society, you'll understand it very well. For example, Franklin Pierce, who became president in 1853, went down as one of the worst presidents in American history. And in 1913, during the Democratic Party, there was an epidemic of the Spanish flu. Also, the recent Biden administration has been called a fraud, F-R-A-U-D, because they didn't accomplish what they promised when they took office, right? This is because the Democratic Party is Tencyuusatsu period in the mouse and the ox ear. As I have explained before, no realistic practical benefit can be established in this period. So this is the kind of energy that is appreciated when you start something with a volunteer spirit, caring for others. So that's why these bills that are conservative of others will go with the flow to become reality successfully. In other words, the Democratic Party is not destined to play an active role in the United States in the first place. Now let's talk about the characteristics of the Democratic Party's prophecy. Do these 3 zodiac signs look familiar to you? These 3 zodiac signs are exactly the 3 animals I used to increase the water in my 5 elements on my December trip. If you would like, please check it later. In other words, the 5 elements of the Democrats create a very strong water energy. Omicron is also a very strong water energy, so the energies are completely in sync because of that. Even more interestingly, please look at this left part of the Democrats' prophecy. Do you recognize this from somewhere else? Yes, it is exactly the same as Omicron. Do you remember when the same zodiac sign coming together like this? It's called reaching. So what this means is that the power of the Omicron can be doubled by being fully in tune with the energy of the Democratic Party. In other words, the reason why Omicron is spread so powerfully is because the Democratic Party is in power. And moreover, the regime is an energy that started with Tencyuusatsu, so this has come out as an unprecedented Omicron explosive infection. This is already a perfect synchronization and more than England. The point is, not this part, but this part means quite a lot. This is so bad because this left part is the soul, the spirit. In other words, the soul, the spirit of Omicron and the soul of the Democratic Party are in sync completely and breathing well together. Oh my god. I mean, Do you see how much America, the country's power itself, is getting weak? How much the people's ability to make decisions is waning, and how much America is moving in strange direction, right? And this is decay. So it means to bind tightly Democratic Party and Omicron binding each other so that one cannot move. Also, the fact that this part is in means that it cannot move spontaneously, not like yang quality. When this yin energy moves in action, it can only move when the soul resonates with something. In other words, Omicron caused a perfect resonance phenomenon with the Democratic Party and the energy of the American people who supported the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is, in the first place, a fate that can be fulfilled by a lifelong eagerness to rebuild the leader of America. So in order to change the government, the Democrats attack and kick down Mr. Trump to seize the real power. The Democratic Party has always been strong in such situation. However, an interesting contradiction emerges. Now the leader of America is Mr. Biden, so now the energy of the Democratic Party itself is a conscious effort to rebuild him. If Mr. Biden is truly worthy of being the leader of the United States, he will grow and become a strong leader while being attacked by the rebuilding energy of this Democratic Party. However, he does not have the original prophecy to become a president, so the phenomenon breaking down will occur more and more. Now here, let me show you Mr. Biden's prophecy. Unfortunately, the fact that Mr. Biden is president has had a considerable negative impact. Actually, there are classes of prophecies: upper class, middle class, and lower class. An upper class prophecy is a prophecy with a guardian deity, like me. Unfortunately, Mr. Biden is a lower class prophecy because the energy of water acts as a fire extinguisher, which is his energy. A person with a guardian deity like me thinks, I want to make this country a better place somehow. And for this purpose, he or she tries to become the president. And to become the president, he or she wants to ask people for help. But on the other hand, the person who has kind of energy like Mr. Biden thinks that he or she wants to get an advantageous position by kicking the standard person like Mr. Donald Trump out of office. And for this purpose, he tries to use people with smiling. And he finds his value in his process and the fact that he has achieved his goal, becoming president. Therefore, he has nothing more to do because his goal has already been achieved in his hidden awareness. In other words, if I had to use a simple analogy to describe him, it definitely would be Jafar in Aladdin. So all in all, Jafar is now the real power in the United States, and this is exactly the symbol of Arkansas energy. A dagger suddenly flying out from darkness. In addition, the purpose of the lower class prophecy is to stand out by kicking others down. So when such a person is at the top, it will cause disasters in the world, not only just in America. And as a result, the country's power will fall further and further. It's really the urgency situation more than American people think. Also, since Biden's central energy and Omicron's central energy is decay, so it can be interpreted that his presidency is causing the energy that binds Omicron to each other to speak even more strongly, which is working to stop the US economy. And if I were to describe his energy in a picture, it would be something like this. Did you see that? Then I don't need to explain about Mr. Biden anymore. I mean, please keep in mind how you felt when you saw that picture of Mr. Biden's energy, okay? Then I'll explain about America's prophecy. The most important point of the America's prophecy is that it has Gai, the combination of ox and horse. And because America is not operating this prophecy properly, Corona and Omicron getting explosive and also invite terrorist attacks such as 9/11 in 2001. The US is a country that can get fortune to recognize the existence of people with different values. This is the energy of Gai. Gai is in prophecy by nature means that America is destined to do so. In other words, the trend towards the elimination of diversity means that the United States is deviating from its destiny in the first place. So, for example, if you don't vaccinate all the people, you are unpatriotic. Following in the direction also indicates that it's deviating from its destiny. Of course, there are deeper rooted problems than just vaccine stuff in the US out there. The racial discrimination. And that's why the energy of Gai will be converted into the energy of more and more upheaval and the natural disasters, like these articles. In this 2022 prediction video, I told you to watch out for May 2022 because the energy for natural disaster is getting stronger in the world. But America will have to be especially careful. This is because America has not been able to take full advantage of the energy of Gai in its prophecy and has deviated from its destiny. So the impact of such kind of natural disasters will be even stronger in the United States in 2022. Furthermore, it is very significant that the horse, who is both Tencyuusatsu and Gai, is in the middle of the prophecy. This means that there will be an infinite amount of energy gathering in this part of the horse. This part also represents the foundation of America. So this means that there is an infinite amount of energy activity as America tries to rebuild and improve the foundation of America. The only way to activate this energy is to work in the spirit of service, volunteerism to the world and to others. It comes out as a disaster because American people cannot accept the existence of people with different values and getting much more selfish. The fact that the fundamental foundations of the United States are now being destroyed is a clear indication that the United States is unable to accept the existence of people with different values, eliminating diversity and becoming a dictatorship. This is because the spirit and action of the service for others is lacking in America. It is also an interesting irony that the promotion of democracy has resulted in the creation of dictators and the transition to dictatorship, completely getting lost with Jaffa. The upper left part of the American prophecy, the part that represents the American soul, is made of earth, tsuchinoto. The energy of this soil means rice paddies, pastoral land. I don't know how to say exactly in English. This means anyway, Daiun, just in case some people can understand Japanese. The pastoral land, rice paddies, can become fertile with crops. Without crops, Daiun cannot prove its worth. The value of rice field is determined by how many crops are grown there. Also, kinoe, next to this tsuchinoto, means deciduous broadleaf tree. The leaves of this kinoe plant fall off and become dead leaves, which can be used as a fertilizer, so it has the power to create humus. In addition, it is right next to the earth energy of tsuchinoto, so it is a very wonderful prophecy. It is very significant that the kinoe, which makes humus, is in the center because this place means the people, American people. This means that it is the people who will turn the America's earth energy, tsuchinoto, rice field, into a rich humus. And an American citizen is an immigrant. So this means that the exclusion of immigrants will result in the deprivation of the opportunity to make America's land more fertile. So if your soil is made of soil, it means that you are happy to see plants growing in your soil. And that is your purpose in life. So what is a plant for America? It is the American people, so the immigrants. This means that America is not in a position to choose the crops America grow. This means that if America chooses a person, your destiny will cease to operate. By accepting any person who comes to America, the America's destiny will operate for the first time. That's the spirit of America. Also, look at the upper right corner of the prophecy. There is a Hinoe. This means the sun. This part means leadership. In other words, the America's prophecy says that the leader is the sun. In summary, this is what I think the America's prophecy looks like when I draw it. I remember something important. Do you know how to describe America in Japanese? It's actually like this. Do you know what this means? It's rice. It's very strange but really amazing coincidence. However, this is very important. People whose fate is operating well often have a name that represents the fate. For example, my soul is a flowering plant, so my name also uses kanji meaning sapling. For example, in English, the name would be like Jasmine. However, people whose destiny is not in operation often have names that don't match the energy that their soul is expressing. Therefore, the name is very important in activating one's destiny because it is the energy that expresses the soul. I don't know how much of this is true, but when an American came to Japan a long time ago, the Japanese asked, "Hey, where are you from?" And she answered, "America." However, it seems that the pronouns sounded like American for Japanese people. So the American people said, America. American? America. American? And this was delivered to become rice. It's no exaggeration to say that the Japanese have breathed life into the American soul, right? Now that I have introduced the American prophecy, so let's take a look at Mr. Trump's prophecy. Oh, finally I'm here. First of all, do you notice anything? You don't need to worry about any technicalities. I'm asking about your sense, what you feel when you see Mr. Trump's prophecy. Isn't it very similar to the America's prophecy? This is very important. Especially the parts of the heaven zodiac signs are all the same. This means that Trump is in complete correspondence with the American prophecy in spirit, mindset, and mentality. I told you earlier that the America's prophecy says that the leader of the United States is the sun. And Trump has the sun, Hinoe, in the upper right. This means his utmost energy comes from this Hinoe, the sun. He expresses the sun. He represents the sun. At the same time, the center energy of the United States is a Kinoe horse, and it is exactly the same as Mr. Trump's. The same zodiac signs are called Richin, do you remember? Which means that when they come together, their luck doubles. This means that if Mr. Trump becomes president, the country's power will double, and the nation will prosper. As I have said before, the center represents the foundation of the United States. So the Trump presidency means that the foundation of the United States will be twice as strong. So do you remember in comparison, the reaching phenomenon that the Biden caused was a complete response to Omicron and the proliferation of an unusual virus, right? And next, let's take a look at the left part. This means nothing. Do you remember? It means that America and Mr. Trump share the same aspirations but have completely opposite qualities in actual action. And that America and Mr. Trump can make the best use of their opposite qualities to produce good results. It also means that the nudging relationships work better when there is a hierarchical relationship. So as long as Trump loves and respects this country, he can maintain the initial energy for a long time. Perhaps the energy of this nudging will make American people evaluate it negatively because it is 180-degree different from the traditional way of doing things in America. But that's okay, because it just means that the consequences of Trump acting differently from the traditional way will not go bad. This phrase, Tsuchino ox, represents the future, at the same time the result of the United States. The fact that this party is nudging with Trump's energy means that the results the United States will produce will not go bad or not going down with Donald Trump. And Trump's presidency will not end in a bad result, but will be able to maintain a good result, because this relationship is made of not just nudging but also reaching. Let's take a closer look at Trump's 5-element cycle. His prophecy consists of these 3 parts on the left. This means that he is a person who is very particular about getting results. He himself is aware that his value lies in producing results. This means that while Biden's energy is focused on making himself special as a president, Trump is focused on becoming a president and getting results. He also has 2 fire energies in his energy. This means that he has 2 wits about him, and he will use these 2 wits to get results. The number 2 means that he is a businessman and a politician. In this respect, it also corresponds to the 5-element cycle in the US, which means that the US is very favorable to getting results in the way that Trump is. I'm going to talk about more about this in Chapter 4. Next, the reason 4, cause 4. I would like to conclude this chapter, the reason 3, cause 3, with a pictorial representation of Trump's prophecy, showing who would be suitable to be the president of the United States. Because the problem with France is that it fundamentally doesn't produce decent people who deserve to be the president, but the American people cannot see the real from the fake. And this is the problem of America. Now let's move on to the 4th cause of the spread of the infection. The American people don't have the wisdom to see the truth. Therefore, they fail to act on their temporary emotions. Thinking about how to make the country better is missing, and the country itself is going crazy as it uses the power of utility and democracy to kick some person down or some people down. This is the biggest problem. The main reason why people are in this situation is that people have not been able to get this American prophecy up and running. And I'm going to explain that. This chapter is the most important one. But how many of viewers have survived through this chapter? That seems my biggest problem. But none of that matters to me, actually. And my true purpose will be revealed in this chapter. Anyway, let's get started. There is a very good example to illustrate this kind of situation in America. Last May 2021, a ballet company in Japan gave a performance of Coppelia. It was broadcasted for free on YouTube. I watched the performances on May 4th and the 5th. The performance on the 4th was really wonderful. The leading lady was beyond the breadth of acting. She was already possessed by Coppelia, not just playing. Indeed, there are many technical flaws, however, the air around her flowed in a direction that covered her. It was a breathtaking stage. Very well put together as a whole, It was a really great 2 hours. So I decided to let's watch it again tomorrow. So fifth is a different cast. But the stage on the fifth was incredibly terrible, as I have never seen that kind of horrible one. Give me back my precious time. This is what I honestly felt at that time. The leading lady on the fifth, she's well experienced compared to the lady on the fourth. Even on the scene, she doesn't dance but just run. She falls down in such kind of an ordinary scene. The ballet itself is full of flaws. The other dancers were getting used to it and seems to be getting a little tired. And the stage set doesn't work, out of order. What the hell? It was like that. However, this is why I was very interested in why there are such differences. Because they practice every day, right? So I did a thorough research. It turned out the 5 elements of this theater were very strong in metal energy, and it needed at least 3 wood energies to have a great performance here. In other words, when the dancer's wood energy is weak, the metal energy of the stage acts as an axe and is expressed in the form of chopping the tree, the dancer. The dancer who is successful in the theater, or who had danced there for more than 10 years with successful position, had more than 3 wood energy in 5 elements. Therefore, they can make good use of the flow of metal energy of the stage and produce the best performance, resulting in the phenomenon of vast dancing on the stage. Also, the theater's prophecy says that the theater creates performing arts to rebuild and improve society. And to do that, theater has to improve myself. This is the awareness of seeing the stage as a person. In other words, theater itself think and feel like that. So, in order to be a successful dancer in this company, dancer must have a sincere desire to make society a better place. Continue to rebuild themselves every day. Dancer must have at least 3 wood energy. These 3 points are essential. In other words, the women who danced on the fourth cleared all 3 of these criteria. However, the woman who danced on the fifth, she expressed the phenomenon which her surroundings broken and herself broken as well. This is a lack of awareness of the need to create performing arts for the betterment of society. At the same time, it also revealing that she interprets daily practice not as a way to rebuild a good self, but as a way to maintain her current status. In particular, the situation where the performance could not be held in Corona was delivered, and as a result, more than 40,000 people watched the performance on YouTube at one time. This suggests the stage's awareness of the society worked strongly, as society was greatly involved beyond the realm of just the audience who came to see the stage. This theater has a strong sense of betterment of society at the time. Dancers who don't have the strong awareness will create the phenomenon destroying their surroundings. This stage is try to weed out those who dance with such a mindset that they just want to stand out and try to make use of a stage for that reason. In 5 elements have the power to reveal what the person really thinks, and it just comes out as visible phenomena, that's all. So, in other words, what if we think of this stage as America itself, and the dancers on the stage as American citizens? Here, I would like to get back to the cycle of the 5 elements of America that we discussed earlier. The American 5 elements turning from wood, fire, earth, and stop at the metal energy. This means that the US has a very conscious nature here. What is represented here is an expression. This means that America's entire nervous system is geared toward expressing itself in a distinctive way. Can you recall what I was saying earlier in Chapter 3 about myself here? I said I would like to finish my work to a level that no one else can imitate, which means that's a level where I cannot do anymore, and to release a work that I'm 100% satisfied with, because my 5 elements stopped at the energy of fire, which means expression. Especially in my case, since I have 3 fire energies, this means that I have to stick to expression anyway. What I mean by this is, for example, let's say someone asks me like, Could you write something interesting book on the subject of cooking from the perspective of the yin and 5 elements? I can say yes to that offer immediately. The second example, can you write a book on baseball from the perspective of the yin and 5 elements? That has never been written before. I can also answer this request, though I don't know even the baseball rule, but my brain reacts immediately. But if you ask me like, could you make a YouTube video that gets 1 million views? Or could you write a book that makes 100 million yen in profit? Then this 5 elements cycle would stop thinking, because it doesn't have the energy of money at all in the first place. Whether it is a person, an organization, theater, stage, or a country, or whatever, it cannot use energy that is not in its 5 elements. In other words, when America is asked to express itself profitably, it stops that thinking. This means that the reason why the America has been able to become an economic superpower is because America insists and focuses on expressing itself in a distinctive way without regard to profit and loss. This cycle of the 5 elements is the result of outstanding expression, which generates unlimited wealth after all. In other words, it is a country that really fails when it comes to how to express itself in order to make a profit. That means people think of the energy of the metal from the energy of water, right? That's why it fails. That's why most policies fail, and that's why most people start business in the US and it doesn't work. What this zero means is that America has infinite energy regarding to getting money, their profit, if just America operates its destiny. For example, YouTube is an American company, so it's easy to understand. YouTube is a place that allows people to express themselves in many different ways, a place where people can create a unique expression that only he/she can create. So the American prophecy is up and running and reflecting with this energy. However, if this place, YouTube itself, falls into a means of making a quick profit, quick money, or if people start to perceive it as such, then this company will fall significantly. In short, if America put all the effort into creating a distinctive expression, an unlimited amount of wealth will follow on its own as a result. There is a tremendous difference between those who think based on this money, profit, and those who think based on the expression. I will explain a little bit more from the aspect of the point where I get angry, because it is easy for you to understand this 5 element cycle. This is a story from my trip to France a few years ago. I bought a cake in fabulous showcase at the Gallery Lafayette. The artwork was brilliant red and really beautiful. It was what I call love at first sight. Wow, it's so beautiful, it must be so delicious. Besides, it says this is the most famous and long-established luxury department store in Paris. So this means this department is like Isetan in Japan. Actually, in Isetan department, there is not a single bad food there. If you came to Japan and stopped by there, you know it, right? Everything delicious, it's just simple. Everything just delicious because it's Isetan. So I thought it's almost same, and back hotel and ate it and one bite and then lost my temper and went nuts. And dumped in garbage because it was shit so terrible. 超まずい. It turned out it was just a lump of sugar, not a cake. So my point of anger is, what do you mean it's not a cake when it is sold as a cake? It is expressed as a cake. This is just a lump of sugar. It doesn't meet the criteria to be described as a cake. That's why I'm so angry. Who made this? A patissier? If you are a patissier, you'd probably notice how bad this is. Because patissier is a professional who makes cake, right? It's defined as someone who is thinking about how to make a delicious cake 24/7, 365 days, try to create a delicious cake based on it through trial and error, right? This kind of person is called patissier. So pastry professional chef who is thinking about how to make a delicious cake 24/7, 365 days would not sell such a lump of sugar as a cake. There are 3 points of anger. First, it has not cleared the expression luxury department store. Second, it is described as made by pâtissier, but it is not made by pâtissier. Third, it is not a cake. So, simple. If it says this is just a lump of sugar that looks pretty, then I do not be angry. So that's what I mean. Do you understand what I mean when I say that my 5 elements are particular about the expression? It's funny, right? This is almost the same how America think and feel. So that's why I'm talking. I'm a little bit embarrassed, but it is quite important. So this is a characteristic of anger in this 5 elements cycle, okay? However, a person of the 5 elements who thinks in terms of money would be upset saying, I paid 1,000 yen for this cake. Why is it so bad? So this is the angry point who have this money energy and think from the profit. So this is totally huge difference. So this is something that we do almost unconsciously on a daily basis. So it can be difficult to understand the difference, but I explain this because it is in these simple things that the essence of a person is revealed, and because people don't understand these essential points, that's why investment fails, companies go bankrupt, and the countries go astray. So now I would like to talk about how America can make a distinctive expression, work out its destiny and operate its prophecy, and regain its national power. This is because it is equal to developing the ability to see the true nature, to distinguish the real from the fake for American people. Actually, it is possible to translate the energy of the 5 element cycle into a diagram of the human body in this way. Then it is obvious that the head of the United States contains a quality that represents wisdom. I expressed as wisdom 1. This means that America is very smart and clever by nature, and at the same time, America desires the wisdom of essential truth. This wisdom 1 in head means prestigious and traditional wisdom, like inheriting the color white as it is. Conversely, it means that without this true wisdom, America is a lost cause. The central part of the United States also has a quality representing wisdom, which I express as wisdom 2. This is different from the wisdom 1 of the head. Wisdom 2 is cultivated by experiencing through one's physical body. Since this is in the center, it means that this place represents America itself. Also, the left hand, which represents socializing, is made up of the qualities that distinguish between the real from the fake. In summary, America can achieve the distinctive original expression only based on true wisdom that is not false and competent. This means only then can America imagine a distinctive expression. In addition, based on the true wisdom of its head, the United States is able to determine whether the people who come close to the outstanding expressions it produces are genuine people who really like its expressions and want to get along with it, or whether they are fake people who come close to it because they want profit using America's distinctive expression. If America has the ability to operate this prophecy. Unfortunately, America is in a situation where the head part of the body is without real wisdom. So the center part, wisdom 2, America itself also cannot operate either, resulting in a situation where the left hand cannot operate. This is why situations such as the fake election arise, and the lack of clarity in the deliberations is converted into energy to expose it. In other words, it proves that all the wisdom of the past that the US has absorbed so far has been completely false. And the right hand, which must protect the vulnerable, tries to use its hand to push the vulnerable immigrants down the tracks. America has become a bastard because there is no true wisdom. The word America used to be amazing huge effect. You young American people don't know that, do you? It was so influential that the Japanese people respected the implicity. So if person says like, I studied in the United States for 2 years, then this person was like hero in Japan, actually. The word America itself has a kind of influence. But now that I feel like it's banana. Before and after the war, banana were super luxury food in Japan. And if person brought banana on a field trip at the school, then the person was already like an idol, superstar. In Japan, wearing America was an effective as holding a banana. わー、超すげえ、お前バナナだすげえ Just to bring it, then the person could get respect from people. That kind of image when it comes to America. What I should call banana effect. Sounds cool, right? But now that influence and the image is completely gone, disappeared. I think this is largely due to the fact that vertical wisdom has disappeared and the Americans lost the sense of respect of their parents' generation and lost respect for the act of expression itself. That's why people think like, it doesn't matter what I do alone. It doesn't matter to anyone else. Expression is a personal choice, so I can do whatever I want with me. I feel people misunderstanding this kind of expression as expression. That's why the number of cakes that cannot be called cakes has increased so much. Just people doing selfish way and always fighting that you should respect me. I never make something like a cake because if I made something weird, it would be like spitting in the face of my grandmother, who left me virtue. What America needs most now is to educate people with the right wisdom, to create a vertical connection with the right wisdom. This is the most important point to exist as America. Also, the important part is the last stage of America's life, consists of the energy of protecting the graves of ancestors. In summary, in order for America to continue to reflect its descendants by keep learning the true wisdom, America distinguishes between the real and the fake and protects the weak while socializing and achieving its own unique expression, which is imagined by the true wisdom of the past, not fake, and create a country where young people of the future respect the unique expression in the past so that they can learn the wisdom through the original expression, which leading to cherish and protect their family graves. This is America. That's why I decided to make this incredible video, because America really needs a true wisdom, not fake. Moreover, if it is unique and original, leads to the extreme point that I can do no more, like my eyes so ache and bleeding. There is no way this American prophecy will not work. So I created this. Remember what I said earlier about the battle stage. The stage radiated its original energy as a stage, didn't it? So I decided to make that phenomenon happen with this video and the American prophecy itself. This video itself would be the dancer and America itself would be the stage. In other words, to be honest, it is doubtful that the American people will see the value in this video because people are completely broken, so even they might cannot find this. However, the America itself will see the value of this video because the head part of America's body is looking for this very wisdom. America missing it for such a long time because America trusted fake wrong wisdom which cannot call a wisdom at all from my eyes for such a long time. So America will recognize this is exactly the true wisdom in the near future. As I have said before, America hates half-baked fake products that are called cake, but are not cake. However, I thought that if I do the distinctive expression to convey the true wisdom, America itself would move. Lastly, I'm going to finish this video by talking about the American national anthem to explain how American people can change the country by distinctive expression, and for that purpose, how American people can achieve the distinctive expression. Do you know who wrote the American national anthem? A lawyer named Francis Scott Key. No, lawyer is the wrong word. I should express him like he's a lawyer and a poet. This is the right expression. His poem was adopted as the national anthem in 1931, 88 years after his death. So I'm sure he had no idea that his poem would become the national anthem. Here is a question. Why was his poem adopted? Because the energy with which he wrote the poem represents the very essence of American policy. That's the answer. Let's take a look at Mr. Key's policy here. In fact, he also has the same type of policy as Trump. I've already explained this earlier, so I won't go into details. In other words, he's a person who cares about getting results anyway by nature. And there are two parts that represent his wisdom, like Trump. This would be a lawyer and a poet in his case. So, how did this prophecy leave such a wonderful poem to be passed down to future generations as American anthem? He has the sheep and the bow. As I explained earlier, when these two elements come together, they create the energy of wood. In other words, this part in his 5-element cycle. Yes, it is the expression. When and where this energy comes into play is exactly where this poem was written. Actually, this poem was written in this kind of situation. It was at Fort McHenry in Baltimore, Maryland, in September 1814, in the midst of the Anglo-American War that began in 1812. Francis Scott Key boarded a British imperial warship to negotiate an exchange of prisoners, including his friend, a doctor. The British commander eventually agreed to release both Key and his friend. However, due to confidentiality reasons, they were detained aboard the warship while the Imperial fleet bombarded the fort. As dawn broke on September 14, after a fierce night of bombardment, Key and his friends saw in the dawn's early light the stars and the stripes rising above the fort. The fort was also heavily bombarded. Impressed by the fact that the fort was defended against heavy bombardment, Key immediately got the idea for the poem, The Defense of Fort McHenry, and wrote it down on the back of a letter he had brought with him. So, this wood energy is expressed in this kind of situation. In other words, this expression is not calculated based on profit and loss, as I mentioned earlier, but it is something that comes from our heartfelt thought of, oh, I want to express this situation somehow. No? And the fact that it was adopted as the national anthem of the United States means that America itself received it as the expression. The expression that Mr. Key truly felt from his heart in a life and death situation was so outstanding. And moreover, this expression is coming from his true wit. In other words, America recognizes the value of this as the expression. You know what I mean? So, in 1931, the year of the Kanoto sheep, the year of reaching, with Mr. Key's social part, the center part, it was officially adopted as the American national anthem. The soul resides where it is expressed in extreme circumstances, and that kind of expression will remain forever, even if the body perishes. He proved. And as you know, there is no water in American prophecy. Mr. Key's soul is made of water. This poem is made up of his soul water energy. This means that America decided to take his soul as its own missing water all its life. Doesn't it give you goosebumps? So that's why I'm very confident in my expression and in this video. Of course, because there is no one exists who can analyze so much with this wisdom, And there are not many people who can be patient enough to improve themselves and to take their expression to a higher level, original way. But more than that, because this has my soul in it. And this is exactly the cake, not like a cake. Okay, so that's all. One last thing. If you are an American, I suggest you think seriously and carefully about what these two wisdoms mean for America. Because I have nothing to say on this point. I hope there are 1 person, 2 person, or if possible 3 person of you who have seen this all far now. I would like to conclude by singing the American national anthem to express my gratitude to you because you watched everything till last and for the prosperity of America. Oh, say can you